I've got faith in my boy Money on the support.
All right, well, we'll see how they do go. Not today, though. That's coming up tomorrow. For us now, Order and Sydney Drop Bears to start off the season. As I already said, it is the grand final rematch. We saw these two teams go head-to-head at IEM Sydney last season. It was 4-1 the way of Sydney Drop Bears. I'm looking at this to be even... 4-1, I should say, to Order, not to Sydney Drop Bears. I'm looking at this one being a little bit cleaner for Order. I think this one's probably looking like 4-0 off the bat. But perhaps this first fight will change my opinion. Sydney Drop Bears are going to roll out with the GOATS composition, so too is Order, and I think that is fairly favourable for Order. We know they're one of the best GOATS compositions in the Overwatch Contenders AU, but starting off with a player dropped early, Quads, that means that Order's going to have to back off early here.
Yeah, Quad's going down early. You saw Signed and Adam trying to take those aggressive angles to try and get behind Dreamer's shield to get that damage in, but unfortunately they weren't able to do too much. Felons is actually ridiculously charged and close to this grab compared to Signed. That's a rare sight.
Yeah, not only that, but Dream's got a bit of an advantage over Quats there as well, having survived through the fight. He's built up a little bit more of the Earth Shadow, so two very powerful ultimates to potentially come up for Sydney Drop Bears in this fight, not to mention Kraken now has Transcendence available. They're going to be fighting from behind here for Order, but they do get their ultimates down first. Quats, how did he build that so quickly? Well, it's going to be the end of Dreamer. Sign finishing that kill off, and once you lose your Reinhardt, we know that the eventual waterfall will persist here. Order should actually come away with the fight win.
Yeah,
look like Sydney Drop Bears are going to invest anything.
Quads with the big play there, gets massive value out of that Shadow. Kraken forced to Transcendence, and now no support odds for Science grab next fight. This is going to be rough for the Sydney Drop Bears.
Yeah, it certainly is. Fluoro 80%, but even then, like, the sound barrier is not really the ultimate that you want to use up against the Graviton Surge, but I suppose they're going to have to really invest it here. That said, if Sydney Drop Bears can start this fight off on the right foot, if they can get their own ult out first, maybe try to use that as an advantage. But even now, I think this is already showing some signs of a little bit of weakness maybe for Sydney Drop Bears. We'll see whether or not that goes through into the next couple of maps. A nice self-destruct Graviton Surge combo through from Adam is going to be the end of a Kraken and Felons, and also the end of that fight for Sydney Drop Bears.
Yeah, very well done by Adam not to get caught in the opposition's Graviton Surge. That means that when Sign throws out that counter grab, he's there to throw the Diva Bomb out and get the kills.
Exactly what we saw. That said, a bit of an investment into that fight from Order does mean that they are lacking in terms of the ultimates in comparison to Sydney Drop Bears. We do see the self-destruct there for Shoyo. Whether or not that can make a difference, I don't know. But in the past, Shoyo certainly has been able to find some damage with the self-destructs. Here goes his across the sky, but it's not going to have much of an impact at all. Hunter starts the fight off well, and Sign will capitalize on that as well. Getting his counterpart, Zaya. Felons goes down. A couple of quick trades back, though, from Sydney Drop Bears. Now Shoyo on top of Sign. Never a fight that he's going to win. Zaya versus Diva. And Order, maybe a little bit of a moment of worry there as they drop those two players on the trade. But all in all, pretty comfortable fight win for them.
Yeah, a little bit of panic there as Hunter gets pinned by Dreamer and Geordie gets assassinated by Shoyo. But Order will be comfortable now going into this. Could be the last fight of the map. They have Jordation's Transcendence and Adam's Diva Bomb. Sydney Drop Bears are running pretty dry on ultimates. Maybe Winter's Rally will be the turning point in this fight.
It'll have to be a huge Graviton Surge eat from Shoyo, and that's exactly what we get. A Kraken now investing the Transcendence, but you can't trans through self-destruct damage. Adam gets two again. He has been on fire already this game. It is basically unstoppable at this point. Sydney Drop Bears, they're not going to be able to pick up the first round. Order, I mean, it was, again, just a little bit of a speed bump losing that first fight, but ever since then they have just looked so on top that it hasn't even been close, really.
Yeah, really. They're just losing the rollout fight and then coming back strong. Adam getting 4 kills from 2 bombs. You'll take that value every day of the week. It was really good to see Order being patient there as well, letting them come out a bit, then using the counter Graviton Surge just to set up their fights a little bit easier. Quads getting that first huge shadow really ruined the ult economy of the Sydney Drop Bears and won that fight that should have been free on the side of Order.
Indeed. Well, what does that mean for Sydney Drop Bears? Do they change their lineup here, or are we looking still toward GOATs? They think that they can beat Order with the GOATs v GOATs matchup?
I think that they'll be confident on the GOATs v GOATs matchup. I think it's what they've been practicing, so they'll just stick to their guns and see if they can get the 1v1 matchups, like the Reinhardt matchup, and really see if they can get the advantage there.
Make sure that they're not dropping those picks early on in the fights. That was, I think, the major issue for Sydney Drop Bears. Order looking a little bit more clean, a little bit more composed. And even when they had disadvantages, you know, you saw in that second fight that they were still able to make good usage out of their ultimates and turn things around, which is not something that we saw from Sydney Drop Bears. Order definitely looking more comfortable in the goats v goats matchup today, but that can very quickly change. We're only one round in. Still one more to look for here for Order, but Sydney Dropbears will want to turn things around pretty early on in the piece. Down low is Felons and caught out by Sign. You could see him trying to get back into the safety of his teammates, but it's not going to happen. A trade for Zaya and Brigitte. I think in that point you'd probably be happy to lose the Brigitte. Sign is going to continue on forward. He's almost at his Graviton Surge already. This round has not been going for very long, and it doesn't seem like it's going to be going for very long either. Order quickly capping on up. Sydney Dropbears going to have to back away and wait for their respawns.
Yeah, if you're a Sydney Dropbears member, what you do not want to see is Signed at full energy, off on an off angle, just getting free damage in. And now he's so close to the Graviton Surge, it's going to be interesting to see if Felons can use his bubbles effectively to stop the damage.
Has stopped a little bit of damage, but Graviton Surge is going to be the response from Sign. No kill coming across as a result of the Transcendence from a Kraken, but what an Earth Shatter from Quads. That's going to put them all on the floor, and surely Sydney Dropbears don't have the survivability through that one. Dreamer certainly did not. Fluoro, he got a nice sound barrier down, but it really won't make too much of a difference. There is still 2 support ultimates available for Order if they even needed to be invested, which quite obviously they don't. And that is going to be Order, again, cleaning up a nice fight. Great ultimate usage out from Sign, and Quats certainly doesn't seem like he's having any problems, even despite that injury you told me about.
Yeah, no, Quats unfortunately falling off his mountain bike during the week and injuring his wrist means he missed a bit of practice time, but it doesn't look like it's affected him at all. He's hit 2 massive shatters on this map already, really winning fights that they had no reason to win.
It's pretty vintage Quats, really can't tell
and
any
Sign's
difference.
Got another Graviton Surge just as Felons charges his first. That's typical Sign though.
Getting lapped. Graviton Surge does go down indeed, and well, not much to say about that one.
Yeah, that was a fight, was incredibly clean. They had no support ults on the side of the Sydney Dropbears. It's better just to take that loss, go again, but this massive Shoyo stagger means that they might only get one more fight in here, and it's going to be rough.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're right that it is only going to be the one fight, especially now, even with that, like 87%, Shoyo's not even off the respawn, so even if they do get on the point here, Sydney Dropbears, it's going to be a staggered fight. They're going to have to send Fluoro forward, or, well, it's not going to be Shoyo, is it? So it has to pretty much be Fluoro to get onto this point. There's another grab coming out. This time it's from Felons, but it really makes no difference at all. Fluoro's got the touch, the overtime is there, but Sydney Dropbears is not. It looks like it's going to be a very clean 2-0 for Order. This one will even be 100% up for them. 0% for Sydney Dropbears. Last ditch attempt with the self-destruct from Shoyo, but there we have it. Order wins the map, and in very clean fashion. I mean, they really only lost one fight in that whole thing, didn't they?
Yeah, that was a very big statement from Order saying that they haven't got any rust on them. They're winning these fights. They're using their ultimates. The effectiveness of the ultimates is what really stood out there. Adam getting 5 kills over 3 Diva bombs. That's great. Quats hitting those massive shatters that you often don't rely on to win team fights, but it's great when it does happen. The support ultimates looked good as well. There was no overlapping. They looked really clean. They looked like they'd been practicing.
Oh, well, that's maybe something that you're sort of sneaking in a little bit of BM from, I think. But regardless, yeah, looking good for Order today. I don't know if it's necessarily early enough yet in the, or too late, what am I saying? Too early in the season to sort of start talking about Sydney Dropbears, right? It's only one map. We haven't seen enough yet to say, okay, well, they're going to be good, they're going to be bad, they're going to have these kinds of issues or anything like that. There's not too much to go off necessarily, but was there anything that instantly kind of stood out to you there for Sydney Dropbears as maybe being an issue?
The support ultimate usage was okay, I guess. I didn't really notice any big beats from Blur. He did counter beat one shatter, but I just don't feel like they're getting the effectiveness out of those ultimates, really. There was no shatters really set up, so that could be a communication barrier between Winter and the Korean main take Dreamer. Yeah,
I mean, is that necessarily the fault of the supports, or is that the fault of perhaps the whole team in general? Like, the cohesion isn't quite there.
I think it will take a while for the cohesion to get there. They had really good cohesion with Titawat, and unfortunately he couldn't be playing it at LAN, but I think that over the season this Sydney Dropbears team will improve. I think they'll still make top 4.
All right, I think that's what I was looking for from you, because I kind of want to get a bit of an idea as to where we might be sitting here. I think for both you and I, if we look at Order and we say Seed 1, probably going to be #1 this season. We both expect them to win, is that fair?
Yeah, no, they're an unstoppable force at the moment. They've come off a hot practice session in Korea, or in China, which really helped them versus the Korean teams, and now they're applying that in Australia, and you can see the difference between the plays.
And then we'd probably say Warriors, #2?
Yeah, Warriors roster looks like a number 2 roster, or it could even challenge the top spot. To be honest, if Order get a bit lazy, it could go either way.
Okay, definitely. And then from there, things kind of get a little bit more interesting, right? You sort of mentioned Ground Zero. Going to leave them in the top 4. I think Sydney Drop Bears for me is a team that I would look to go to a top 4, but that's based on more so the previous history of the lineup of the organization. It seems like every time they made a roster change, it turned out to be a pretty good one. I don't know about this season though. This is a very big roster change, right? Typically it's been like 1 player in or out.
Yeah.
This time it's 4 players that have changed for Sydney Drop Bears. So it's not at all like you can go and say, okay, the past history of the players. It's more so, for me, the past history of the organization. I think they do tend to build good teams. I just don't know how good this team is actually going to be.
Yeah, I think that on that topic of conversation, I think that Ground Zero, Mind Freak, and Drop Bears are all about the same level at the moment. It'll be interesting to see how they can apply themselves, really. It'll be a fast learning curve, considering Contenders is starting today. And most of these rosters have only been practicing for the last 2 weeks, but I think that Ground Zero might edge out Sydney Drop Bears to get the 3rd slot, and Mind Freak Sydney Drop Bears for the 4th slot will be very tight.
All right, and speaking of maybe the other side of the coin, we've talked a little bit about who we expect to be up toward the top of this. It seems like we have a bit of time between map 1 and 2. Let's theorize as to maybe how the whole standings is going to look. So toward the bottom end of things, you know, we've got obviously Legacy. They had to come back through from trials. We've got Atletico. Those two are, I think, probably the obvious answers as to maybe who's sitting toward the bottom of the standings. But you look at a team maybe, for example, like Melbourne Mavericks. That's, I think, to me, on paper, a fairly weak-looking team. You've got a few players that have not actually played in Overwatch Contenders before. You've got Exos coming back through, which I think is a great asset to that roster. But again, it's not necessarily a DPS meta, so he doesn't kind of get to go on to the heroes that he necessarily likes to play. And for the majority of that roster, I'm thinking this actually could be a pretty difficult season.
Yeah, I think it could be a difficult season for the Mavericks, but I think they're looking to find some diamonds in the rough for a rebuild for the next season. I think that Atletico, Mavericks, and Legacy starting all on about the same platform now. A lot of the Mavericks players are from the team called New Era that came through trials and unfortunately didn't make it through trials, but there's still some really good talent there, and Exerst, as you said, if they can make these DPS picks work for him, then he can do some damage.
But the thing is, right, if you say you put them on kind of the same level, is it not correct that New Era lost to Legacy in trials?
Yeah, correct, but there are some members from the Melbourne Mavericks that are still retained or are still Contenders players, and I think that that will boost those players from New Era up and give them a bit more experience to play with and a bit more firepower, per se.
Absolutely. Well, you got my boy Penny in that Melbourne Mavericks roster as well. I've been waiting for a long time to see him in Overwatch Contenders. Discovered him in a 3300 game once. Actually carried me to a victory against Bus, who was inting on Tracer by forcing DPS instead of main tank. But that's a story for another day. We're going to go on to Volskaya Industries, map number 2. This is going to be an important one, I think, for Sydney Drop Bears. You know, we go into halftime. If you're down 2-0, I'm pretty sure that's going to be the series lost. If you bring this one back, maybe for Sydney Drop Bears, there could be something to be said. But from what we saw on Busan, how clean that game was, how clean that map was for Order, I'm really struggling to believe that Sydney Drop Bears are going to be able to do a whole lot of damage here.
But this is a map that Order can get stuck on. The first point attack, it can be very difficult. If you nail a few good fights on the defensive side and you get those, you stop Order from rotating up to the high ground or even pushing you off the high ground, then it can be possible to full hold them, honestly. You just need to manage your ults well and use them well and then collapse on their backline. See beautiful panoramic shots of Volskaya.
What have we got here for us? Just standard goats by the looks of things. Adam not going to be on the Reaper.
Quad's
you can't aim that well.
Oh, Adam's actually quite fierce with the aim.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of the same thing, right? Reaper and D.Va, they both sort of have shotgun-esque weapons.
Yeah, they do a lot of damage close range, but not a lot at long range. But I don't think Adam on anything except for D.Va. I think Adam on anything apart from D.Va is a bit of a laugh. See Jordation on the Ana and Quats on the Winston though on the defense, so they are worried about DPS or thinking that the DPS comps could come through. Sydney Drop Bears just on the standard 3-3 though. Does Jordan hit the anti-nade? No, he doesn't. So we will look for this anti-nade on the side of Order from Jordation to cut off this rotation as Dreamer and the boys try and get through to push them off the high ground. Quats has taken a lot of damage here, the external forced out already.
Yeah.
But doesn't get much ult charge actually, only at 18%.
Well, that's not at all what you want. You don't want to be taking that early damage because you want to be getting in the fight with the Winston and, like you say, building the ult charge up so that by the time Sydney Drop Bears get to this point, you're at sort of like 70 or 80%.
Yeah,
not going to happen. Quads gets picked off early. That's a great start for Sydney Drop Bears, and now they can really capitalize on this. See if Order are actually going to be able to show some of that strength in being able to come back from disadvantageous positions and maybe salvage this first point, because right now this is looking like an instant cap.
Yeah, signed on high energy, but that was a nightmare start on the side of Order. Jordation doesn't get the heal quickly enough on Quads, and he just goes down. It looks like he got stunned during his leap there, and this could be a snowball into second point.
Certainly could. Signed, at the very least, does have a Graviton Surge, so that should slow Sydney Drop Bears down a little bit, but definitely not a whole lot to play with there for Order. Jordation on Ana almost able to get the ultimate out here as well. This is going to be a huge quick cap, though, for Sydney Drop Bears if they make it work. Both the Transcendence and the Graviton Surge coming out, but from different teams, and unfortunately Dreamer's going to get charged away. Signed will finish that kill off. It's a 1-for-1 trade, though. Jordation, unable to get his ultimate off before he drops, may actually be a big part of this round. Sydney Drop Bears start to cap up the point. A good trade out onto Sign. And, well, where's Order? They're all dead.
Yeah, Quad's charging Dreamer away to the side of the map, and the Order players did follow him and eventually just got knocked off the map by Winter and Fluoro. That was very interesting, to say the least, from the Order players. They all grouped up on the side of the map and just got knocked off.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that one. There goes my, like, oh yeah, this is a 2-0 for Order prediction.
No, well, I mean, Volsky has been a weaker map for Order in the 2 capture point rotation, so they probably wouldn't have been too happy seeing this in the week 1 matchup. But now it's their turn to attack, and I have confidence that they will take 2 points. It's just a matter of how much time it will take them to do it. 6:21 is a massive time bake on Volskaya. Drop Bears would be feeling very hyped and very confident after that.
I mean, you really couldn't ask for much more. I don't know what to say. I just don't know what to say. That's the issue with dropping the first point so easily, though, because if that fight for Order on point A lasts just, 10, 20 seconds a little longer, they're going to have ults up by the time Sydney Drop Bears actually starts pushing in. But unfortunately, Sign's ultimate didn't really get a whole lot done, and Sydney Drop Bears able to capitalize off of that advantage.
Yeah, no, Sign's ultimate really only just delaying the inevitable. They didn't have damage to put into that Graviton Surge because Quats came out the right side door and then charged through the Grav to try and knock Dreamer off the map. Didn't quite get him, and then in turn got his team knocked off the map. The Ana Nano Boost as well onto Quats didn't really affect anything because Quats didn't get the pin damage because the pin ran out. So it was a bit of a disaster there from Order, actually.
Have to make amends for it.
Sydney Drop Bears are taking the Ana Winston approach as well onto this first point defense. If you can get the first fight underway, you can get that Primal Rage, that Nano Boost in, then it can be really hard to break this point. Interestingly enough, there's no early pressure from the Sydney Drop Bears to try and build ult here. Dreamer playing very passive. So the anti-nade goes in, only catches Quads, so he won't be able to push in on that. But this is where the rotation gets hard.
It does indeed, and Order have actually elected to go for the other side of the map than what Sydney Drop Bears did. Looks like they're going to get across okay, but the issue is Dreamer's up to 82% of that Primal Rage.
And that Primal Rage can be scary in this situation with that ledge that just behind where Order are going to be coming out. If Dreamer can get a good Primal Rage off here, look for a few environmental kills.
Oh, he's certainly going to. Even if he doesn't get Primal Rage environmental kills, he's going to be able to really split the roster up. There goes Quats off the edge. That's from the back of Winter and Fluoro. You saw the boot come across, and then the mace to the face. Dreamer's going to continue and push on top of Adam, but of course with the boosters, he's going to be okay. Continuing to jump across the maps right into the back line of Order, but for now, Order have actually stabilized a little bit. Sure, they lost Quats, but they have found a couple of trades back. Felon's now going down as well. I think there's actually a favorable situation at the moment for Order.
Yeah, despite losing Quats, Yuki was able to take and pick up on Winter, and then Shoyo's D-Mech as well. It meant Order actually had an advantage. Now Dreamer back on the point is going to be hard to dismiss because his Nano Boost comes out. Will the Transcendence be forced out from Jordation? He manages to hold on to it. Order staying strong on the point here. Graviton Surge from Sign comes out, only catches Winter, but that should be enough to get these players one by one staggered out.
I mean, sometimes you look at the grab and you see only the one player in that, you think, oh, that wasn't a great grab. But realistically, if you get one player and that player dies, sometimes that is enough to knock over your opponent. That's what's happened here for Order. It's a little unfortunate to see, though, that they did have to invest the Graviton Surge there, because that would have been a real key part of their push here into point B. That said, with Sydney Drop Bears, their ultimate's not looking so strong at the moment. If Sydney Drop Bears do fall early, there's going to be a big problem for them. Quats' Earthshatter not able to do a whole lot of damage. However, Jordation also investing the Transcendence before Graviton Surge comes out for Felons, and this might well be the wipe coming across into Order. There is a decent sound barrier down from Unter, but how much that's going to keep them alive, who knows? Quats is traded out for Dreamer. Self-destruct onto the point there from Shoyu, and he'll get some damage done as well. Unter down as a result. Order are going to have to wipe here, going to have to back away. And they're certainly going to have to think about how much of a deficit they are going to be going through into the time banks.
Yeah, Order getting a good sound barrier there from Unter to counter the Graviton Surge, but unfortunately unable to get a kill off it under it, so they're looking a little weaker now. The ultimate's only Cyan has his ult, but Quads can charge it. They can charge ults from this Graviton Surge and then go next, really, if they need to. They only captured 66.1, so they won't get that second blip of progress. So
it's so close.
It is so close, but yet so far for the boys in Order. And the support ults are dry, so this fight, I don't expect them to try and invest too much. Maybe just a Graviton Surge to build up the ultimates, but yeah, it shouldn't be too hard for Sydney Drop Bears to repel them here.
I mean, is the right idea to use the Graviton Surge to build the ultimates, or do you need that grab right now as Order to kind of push through Sydney Drop Bears on the actual committed push? We'll find out what Order thinks. And it is going to indeed throw the Graviton Surge in there, but a Kraken also able to counter it quite nicely. No problems at all by the looks of things for Sydney Drop Bears as they push on forward. Dreamer getting the job done onto Jordation, and the rest will fall subsequently. So not a good looking one for Order, but admittedly, didn't expect much out of them for that fight.
They do get the Transcendence and the Earth Shatter out, so that's at least 2 ultimates down on the side of Sydney Drop Bears. Didn't get to charge much Diva Bomb build there from Adam, so maybe he wasn't in the right angle to get damage into that Graviton Surge, maybe just didn't have enough people in it, but that's what the ultimate they'd really like to build here. Using that Diva Bomb to displace the enemy team and manage to isolate one player, on this point of Volskaya especially, can be very, very easy. See the boys just waiting up now. Got signed on the high ground, he'll look to get some energy, and he's already up to 31% of that grab charge, so he could get one by the end of this fight.
Graviton Surge from Felons, you speak to the devil and he shall appear. Perhaps not the way that you expected. A nice Earth Shatter from Quats, and those have been really the keys to victory for Order in the last map at least, and perhaps this map as well. It's almost a clean wipe. Almost all those players down. Fluoro trying to get the beat drop across. Perhaps too little too late, as he's even cancelled in doing so. And Order, they kind of pushed through it. Like that looked like an almost pretty soft defense, it's got to be said, for Sydney Drop Bears.
Yeah, generally making the mistake of charging when Quads has Earth Shatter means Quads gets this free shatter on the players that were relying on Dreamer's Shield, and that's 3 picks they get, and they just go marching forward. And because they had that 33% of capture point already, the last 66%, it's not really enough time to group up and get back and ready to defend.
It's almost a 3-minute deficit though for Order going into this time bank, so it's not really an enjoyable thing to be looking at, but it is definitely a losable situation here still for Sydney Drop Bears. I don't think we really got to see how good Order's defense was, because to me felt like they never really had the opportunity to pose their defense.
Yeah, if Order can win that first fight on the next defense, they'll be on attack here obviously, but if they can win that 3-minute time bank can disappear pretty quickly on Volskaya, especially as they are experienced in rotating those ultimates in this 3-3 combination. It'll be interesting to see if they use the same pathing on the attack this time. They opened themselves up, and honestly, I think that Drop Bears will be pretty upset with themselves that they didn't win that first fight with the Dreamer Primal Rage. And Winter understandably dying when he just got ran at, and Shoyu losing his mech. Maybe they were playing a little bit too far forward and trying to help Dreamer a bit too much when he had that Primal.
Maybe. But time for Order to attack again, and they're going to need to do much the same as what they did just before, get to cap points. Ideally, they want to get A a little bit more cleanly here. They'll want to try and hold on to Science Grav, take that through to point B, and utilize that to cap things out quickly on point B. Fluoro going for that boop. It's not going to cause too many issues there for Order. However, Sydney Drop Bears get a bit of extra damage in as a result. But Dreamer's only at 20%.
Yeah, he got a lot less ult charge this time around, so that's much better from Order. We go through now and back up to 60-70%. Felons didn't get much grab charge off that though, so Order will be pretty happy with that. And this is a pretty even fight now. Honestly, we'll see how if they push the Zarya off the high ground here on the side of Order. Felons dropping low.
Here we go. This is going to be the real fight, and Dreamer instantly gets the pick onto Jordation. That is perhaps going to put an end to the first fight, really, because without your Zenyatta, it's going to be very difficult to chunk through Dreamer here with all those heals that he's going to be getting. Had he had a Zenyatta Discord Orb on him, he probably goes down in a situation like that, but now surviving on through, Order are going to have to reset. At the moment, all they're really achieving is feeding ultimate charge over 2 Sydney drop bears on that defense. Does have to be said though, Order are building their own up pretty quickly as well. Signs at 89%, Jordation at 98%, and Hunter around 90 as well. So we're going to go into this one with quite a bit to play with on both sides. Dreamer, is this an overcommitment again? Shoyu will back him up. Primal Rage is there, so never mind that. But Graviton Surge will catch out both the main tanks of Sydney Drop Bears, and there's no one to help them at all. They're totally isolated from the rest of Sydney Drop Bears. That surely is going to be Order pushing through point A.
Yeah, not sure if it was a big brain play from Order or just lucky that they managed to bait the 2 tanks into that room where they couldn't get any help from the rest of their team, and they managed to take the fight off that, only committing the Graviton Surge. Dreamer committed the Primal, so he'll just swap onto this Reinhardt, and I don't know if the Snowball ults are there for Order.
Depends, I suppose, what they can get done with these two. I mean, the self-destruct could really open the door for a nice Earth Shatter if Quats can build that one up quickly, get a nice Fire Strike through, you know, get up to maybe 80%, 1 or 2 swings. He's at 100. But it is still, I think, wishful thinking when you look at it in the grand scheme of things for Order to be able to snowball straight through to point B here. That's why they're playing a little bit slower. Felons is going to get his Graviton Surge down, and the subsequent push coming out from Sydney Drop Bears looks to be good. Was a nice sound barrier from Hunter, but not enough to keep Signed alive, and again, we look to Quats to perhaps try and make the difference, but he just gets bounced backwards and forwards like he's in a pinball machine. In order to back away. Still enough time here, though, to have one really good committed push. And what I like about that one for Order is that they don't invest too much. Only the sound barrier. Okay, we'll see if we can get something done as a result, but not going to happen. Okay, we don't throw the self-destruct in. So self-destruct persists. Earthshatter's nearby now as well, so we talk about that combo. That could definitely come across again.
Kraken swapped over onto the Zenyatta, trying to build this fast Transcendence to counteract Sign's Graviton Surge. It would be rough for him to do it, but I've seen him build these trances. We see both teams just kind of poking and prodding. Winter goes and pops the rally and tries to get a bit more aggressive, but Order managed to kite back with that speed boost very well. They've waited out the rally, and now will be time for them to go. They'll be looking for the rally of their own, and Quats throws out an Earth Shadow. Doesn't look at catch as much. On the other side, Dreamer gets the big shutter onto the back line. Sign dropping incredibly low that forces the Transcendence out. Without any response from Sydney Drop Bears, they do get the bomb from Adam. Takes one down. They're caught on the side, but don't know if this is going to be enough to get the point.
We'll see whether or not they're going to be able to do much here. Order, Quats does get a nice kill onto Winter, but the Earth Shadow comes back across from Dreamer. And Felons will take a couple of kills as a result. Not looking like we even see any ticks on the board here for Order. Shadow does just come down from Quats as he falls, but it's still not enough to secure the fight here for Order. It's still not enough to secure any real semblance of control on that point. Now Transcendence from Jordation. It's a desperate Transcendence as well. We're just not seeing those kills come across, and if Order can survive long enough, maybe to get Signed back in here with that Graviton Surge, who knows what could happen. We've seen it before, but it is really wishful thinking at this point. Quats is there, obviously on the Wrecking Ball. Grav goes down, but it's onto Dreamer and Winter, and they're not finding anything out of it, Order. So this will be a solid hold from Sydney Drop Bears. Round over. And it's on to Order now to really defend point A.
No, Dreamer building the 2 Earth Shadows in one fight there. He ends up getting the backline down on the first Earth Shadow, forcing a lot of defensive usage of the abilities such as Bubble and Armor Pack. But then the second Shadow is the one that does the damage. They managed to get 3 down, managed to get 1 kill off it, which means there's a long spawn for Order, and they managed to get the numbers back to just take out one by one. Jordation almost dying there to show you, but he manages to get his Transcendence off, but it wasn't enough to turn the fight. Adam and Unto couldn't quite take down a Kraken on the side, and it's going to be rough for Order to hold this for 6 minutes. We could end up being a draw here.
Could definitely. You wouldn't really look at this and say, yeah, you're going to be able to hold point A for 6 minutes and 21 seconds.
No, especially with their first defense.
I mean, to be fair, you probably wouldn't even look at the whole map and say you're going to be able to hold it for 6 minutes and 21 seconds. Yeah, especially based on that first defense. But I think, again, with that first defense, I don't want to read too much into that. You know, obviously, Quats getting caught off early. It's not going to happen every time. And that whole round kind of snowballed in the sense, and like there was that ripple effect based on Quats getting picked early, based on Sydney Drop Bears getting a really clean fight on point A and not having to invest any ultimates, and then rolling through onto point B. But I don't think that's something that you see happen every day.
Yeah, those uncharacteristic mistakes from Quats there, I don't think they'll be coming around a second time. Well, I hope not. Jordation again misses this nade. Oh no, he doesn't. He hits 2. That's good from him. gets that 7% ult charge, and that's what I mean. Like, just getting that early ult charge can be such an important thing, especially on the Winston and the Ana, as they try and stop these rotations and try and keep away the big scary right now.
Dora looks to be a little bit scared there, but he's going to get out okay. Dreamer is the one that's in a problematic situation, and, well, this is what I was talking about. You're not going to get a free fight win on point A every day of the week against Order, and certainly not 2 times in one map. Quad's up to 76% with already the initial pick going the way of Order. They're going to continue to push here. They're going to continue to keep Sydney Drop Bears kind of locked in. And it really makes it easy for Quads to build the Primal Rage, for Sign to build the Graviton Surge, because they can just use their AoE abilities. And there we go. That's a very, very nice start for Order. If you're going to hold point A for 6.5 minutes, that's the way that you want to start. Yeah,
credit to Adam and Yuki there, blocking that doorway so Dreamer couldn't get through fast enough, and another big stagger onto Shoyo. He must be furious. Another, Jordation hits the sleep dart. This will take, only he's dropping the teabag as well. That's bad manner from Jordation, former teammate of Shoyo. That takes a minute off the clock already, a minute 20 off the clock. There's a lot of room to work with here on the side of Order. Now they have that nano boost, they have the Graviton Surge and the Primal Rage. I'd like to see them only commit the Primal and the Nano this fight and save the Graviton Surge, but if it does fail on the Primal, they might be forced to use this Graviton Surge.
Yeah, push comes to shove, but this is an important point, of course, for Order. They need to be making sure that their ults are very economic, because they need every single fight win here. This is going to be the engagement that you spoke about. Primal Rage still yet to come from Quads, but as a result of the Earth Shatter, he is going to invest it. Jordation, the nano boost over onto Quads as well. It's not going to result in any kills just yet, but I speak too soon. It looks like Balance is off the edge. Nice control from Quads. Won't be able to find too much more off the back of it. But again, it's another minute taken away from Sydney Drop Bears. Now we see only 4 minutes and 17 seconds on the clock. And slowly but surely, that is counting down.
Yeah, it was a 4 ultimates invested from Order in that fight, but they were all needed. That big Earth Shadow coming out from Dreamer would have got a lot of kills if Sign's Grav wasn't there to hold them at bay. And Potts with the really good Primal control, now he's almost built up to another one. I think that was a fine fight from Order.
It certainly was.
Hunter in the perfect position to deny this rotation, but they do fake it out and they go to the other side to the left.
He might still even be able to get a nice boop across, and he does. There's a sound barrier down very early from Sydney Drop Bears. They're pushing, they're trying to make something happen here, and they've caught Sign in the Graviton Surge. Self-destruct across from Adam to try and build some room, to provide some room for Sign there, but it's not enough. Quats now with the Primal Rage, you have to turn your eyes to him to do something. It's faded away, unfortunately, and now with the nano boost across, he is going to be able to put some good damage into Dreamer, but it's a 1-for-1 trade. Yuki down as well. Sydney Drop Bears finding the control in this fight that they would have wanted, and it was an important pick on to Sign as well. Looking at him, 90% of that Graviton Surge, and yet still so far away from this fight. He's not going to be able to have the impact. Going to have to save it through to point B, and best case scenario now for Order is going to be a tie.
Yeah, Hunter's sound barrier there just a little too late, maybe a bit of line of sight. It doesn't reach Signed in time. That would have saved Signed there and turned the fight. Adam tried his best with that Diva Bomb, but it just wasn't enough. Quats did get some good value out of that Primal Rage, forcing the Transcendence out of a Kraken, and almost turned the fight there. But going into the second point, Sydney Drop Bears pretty dry on the ultimates. Order should be looking to clean this fight up with just Sign's Graviton Surge.
You won't be too concerned though with Sydney Drop Bears with 3 minutes on the clock, even if you come into this with dry ultimates. You've got plenty of time to build them up, plenty of time to get that one good fight that you need, because really, all they need is one tick.
Yeah, you are looking for that one good fight too. Order unable to get too many ticks, and he does solo grab Felons, and it does look like Steel will go down. So this is good from the side of Sydney Drop Bears. Not investing too much, not feeding too much either, with 3 players now surviving. They should be able to get a nice ultimate advantage coming in a minute or two.
Well, the onus really then goes on to Order's supports to be able to keep the team alive through the ultimates that Sydney Drop Bears throws at them. But that job is going to be a little more difficult with Jordation on Ana. You're really lacking with that Transcendence being such an important ability, particularly to survive through the Graviton Surge, which may well come up in this next fight. And quite frankly, this is actually looking like it could be a map win for Sydney Drop Bears in my eyes.
Yeah, Order, I have to look aggressive here and get these big anti-nades and manage to collapse on them off this, because no Transcendence there means no safety card for when this Graviton Surge comes through. It will be all on Hunter's beat, which he doesn't have yet.
Or Adam's right click. We've seen him be pretty good with the right clicks in the past, but it's a high pressure filled situation for for him here. We'll see if he's going to be able to eat the Graviton Surge of Felons. In fact, maybe it's not even going to need to come because very nice Earth Shatter out from Quats is going to get rid of Dreamer. And, well, Sydney Drop Bears, it's back to the drawing board here. Not interested.
That was a very well done combo by Yuki and Quats there. The Brigitte bash into the Reinhardt Earth Shatter, working wonders. And now Jordation does swap over to that Zenyatta. He managed to force out a Kraken's Transcendence just by using the Nano Boost on Quats there. So a little bit of panic there from a Kraken. And Order again, they could now look to win this fight just off this Graviton Surge. If they can get the damage into the Graviton Surge to break through the sound barrier from Fluoroid, this map could go into the draw situation.
It's definitely going to be an impressive hold from Order if they manage to put this one through to the tie. And in fact, now it's potentially only one fight territory for Sydney Drop Bears, perhaps two, depending on how quickly this one goes. Grab through from Felons, not eaten by Adam, but he does get his self-destruct across, kind of ensuring that Sydney Drop Bears can't push off the back of the grab. And now Cyan responds with his own. He's also on the floor, courtesy of the Earth Shatter from opponent, and unfortunately for Order, they have lost Quats, which is really quite a big loss in a situation like this. Now Adam going to be D-mech, Shoyo right on top of him, and this might well be the end for Order. Sydney Drop Bears have found the picks that they need. There's a Transcendence through to heal everyone up from a Kraken, but the reinforcements coming back across now from Order, and dire straits for them. This is where they need to find those picks.
Big Earth Shatter.
It's a big Earth Shatter, but what can they do with it? Well, they can find a Kraken. Jordation and Quats also being able to put the damage in. Where has that come from Order? Look at how close Sydney Drop Bears are to that 33%, but they're just not going to get there. 20 seconds now, Sydney Drop Bears are resetting, and this is the map over. Surely Sydney Drop Bears can't cap it from here.
Winter with the rally is going to be the key, but Hunter contesting the point there, allowing his players to just back off, not folding under pressure and spewing onto the point and feeding their lives away. It meant that Quats could come back, build that 20% of the Earth Shatter, and get a big one too.
Is at 80%, but Fluoro's been caught early on in the piece, and there's a Graviton Surge from Cyan. They're going to hold. They've done it, Order. They've at least secured the draw. And Sydney Drop Bears, they'll be kicking themselves, man, because they were so damn close to picking that up.
That was on a platter for the Sydney Drop Bears to take. The mistakes of Order on the first defense really punishing them, but they managed to bail themselves out with a good second defense.
Yeah, certainly did. A few clutch plays out there. Very nice Earth Shatter from Quats, and that was kind of what opened it up for them. You saw a Kraken on the floor there. You saw the rest of the players on the floor. I thought, okay, there's not going to be enough damage, really, for Sydney Drop Bears to actually fall here. But then the Order guys get back in position. They just clean up a Kraken as he's getting up, and inevitably you see the way that went, and we're at 1-0 heading into half-time, which, to be honest, even to me is kind of a surprise. I would have thought actually that would be at 2-0 at the moment for Order, so maybe it's a little disappointing for Order even at this point, but given the fact that they were at least able to bring that one back, it still makes me think that they're looking like a much stronger team here, and I'm not too concerned for them when it comes to the series as a whole.
No, I think the Volskaya is a weak map for them as well, so escaping with a draw is okay. They would have liked to have had the win, but Drop Bears would have liked to have had the win too, with their time bank advantage and just the way it looked like they were playing. This is a beautiful juggle from Quads, getting the 3 mid-air hits. Oh, I wish I could do that. Yeah,
I'm sure there's a lot of people that wish they could do that. And for Sydney Drop Bears, that is a map that was more important for them than it was for Order. So to me, it's more important for Sydney Drop Bears the fact that they didn't win, as opposed to the fact that Order didn't lose, right? If Order loses there 1-1, probably not too concerned still for them. If Sydney Drop Bears doesn't get the map on the board, which is indeed the case, you're still looking at a situation where they have the map deficit. They're still not looking like the stronger side in the majority of the fights and that kind of thing. So there is still something to be said, I think, for Order in this matchup. I still think that they go forward and end up winning. Yeah, no, I think that Order are definitely the stronger team and they go forward and end up winning, but they are looking, there are some signs of positivity there for the Sydney Drop Bears, and they probably wouldn't have been expecting to see this result this early as well in the season, so it's good for them. It's definitely decent early signs for Sydney Drop Bears as well. There's a lot more to be said for this particular match in general. We're going to head to a quick break, but after this we do have 2 more maps, potentially maybe 3 to go.